Hello, gorgeous souls. Welcome back to another fabulous lesson. In this one, we're going to be talking about something super fun called quantum tunneling. And I'm even in the quantum tunnel here in the background. All right, so let's get into it. So, what is quantum tunneling? Okay, so this is a quantum physics phenomenon in which a subatomic particle breaks through a seemingly impenetrable barrier and moves into a new state that would usually be considered impossible to access based on the laws of classic physics. But we know quantum physics is really this bridge between science and spirituality, and it does things on that multidimensional quantum level. So think about this. Think about throwing a baseball at a wall with the intention of getting it past the wall. The baseball can only get through the wall if its energy is greater than the energy holding the wall together. And when that happens, the ball will go through the wall either by destroying it, some part of the wall, or creating a hole in the wall. Okay, so in the quantum world, however, it is actually possible for a subatomic particle to pass through a quantum wall without having more energy than the wall and without breaking the wall or even making a hole in it. I know it sounds wild, but stay with me here. So, this passing through the quantum barrier without destroying it is one of the big mysteries of the quantum world that we don't really understand based on our everyday intuition. It sounds like, what? How could that happen from a 3D perspective, right? But it's as if the particle doesn't really pass through the wall, but rather it disappears temporarily and shows up on the other side, like David Copperfield. Okay. It appears to almost be magical, and it is. We know magic exists. So, quantum tunneling is going to sound a little less crazy, I hope, if we remember that the subatomic particles aren't really like balls of matter, right? They're immaterial, they're non localized waves that exist in all places at once in the quantum. And one way of explaining this mysterious cross that quantum barrier, quantum wall, is to say that there's always a dormant version of our subatomic particles that are ready to be, or they're already existing on the other side. So they're already waiting to be manifested or awakened, if you will. I'm going to say that again. So there's always a dormant version of the subatomic particle that's already on the other side, that's already waiting to be manifested, that's already waiting to be man awakened, or has already achieved that. It's a future version of the particle, a future version of us. So this newly awakened particle seems to absorb its own past version into itself by this process that transcends the existing barrier. Okay. And so we apply this to quantum thought alchemy and to timeline alchemy and many other processes when we're working on the energetic, metaphysical, and quantum level. So even though perhaps quantum tunneling cannot happen like on the human scale of things, like teleportation yet, with our physical matter, with our physical vessels, it does seem that the mind already behaves in a similar way. So we can use quantum tunneling of mental stuff, of thoughts, of beliefs, of old, outdated narratives, all kinds of other limiting patterns and such to make lasting changes in our lives, whether that's achieving goals or dreams or healing or letting go of all that no longer serves us. So we're not going to get too quantum physics-y about it. We're really kind of just looking at how this quantum tunneling works into stepping into a better version of ourselves for healing, for awakening, for the spiritual and energetic work that we're doing. So quantum alchemy. Okay, so alchemy with quantum tunneling. So let's say you find yourself stuck with some type of unwanted pattern or behavior, an old coping mechanism. We all have those. Pick one, right? The one precondition for any change is becoming aware of the things we want to change, right? You can't change something if you're not aware it needs to get changed or you're unhappy with the current state of it. So mental quantum tunneling isn't generally going to work for you if you haven't identified the pattern you need to let go, or you haven't done that for the clients you're working with. Once you've felt the pain of the undesirable pattern, the trait, the thought, the behavior, the experience, and you know exactly what it is, you also have to be willing to be free of it. Okay. So let's say that you have a limiting self belief. I'm not good enough. That's like a classic one, right? I'm not good enough, or I'm not as good as these other people, right? That comparison trap. You have to become aware of it, that that's a problem. And you have to also be willing to let it go or to entertain a different way of being without that thought, because that thought's holding you back, right? Making you feel bad. So this is kind of where quantum tunneling and alchemy of the thoughts works and begins. So here's the basic essence of this practice. Instead of resisting and fighting with that pattern, with that thought, that limiting belief, instead of obsessing over it, oh man, if I only didn't believe I wasn't good enough, or if I just stopped thinking that, or trying to get rid of it, I need to make this thought go away, make it go away, make it go away, which sometimes makes it worse. You're actually going to just let it be. Let it be just as it is. And just for a moment, you're going to practice using your imagination, the power of your mind to visualize or sense, to tunnel into a future version of yourself that's already free of that pattern. So do that right now. Imagine a future version of you that does not think that you're not good enough, that doesn't believe that doesn't say that to themselves, that doesn't behave in a way that aligns with this I'm not good enough energy, with this comparison energy, with this thinking trap. The core aspect is you need to imagine your own free version, not just mentally, but with your whole being. So, really think about, visualize what that new future version of you would look like, feel like. What would feel different in your body? Don't think of getting rid of the pattern of behavior, but imagine and really just try to wholly feel yourself already free of it. Just for a moment. Just entertain that for a moment and allow your entire being, your mind, your body, and your spirit to feel what that would feel like, just temporarily. And this is a practice, as simple as it sounds, that you can continue to do. Okay. So there's many benefits of quantum tunneling. Quantum tunneling into a better version of yourself can benefit you because you don't fight or abandon parts of yourself. You're not trying to repress or destroy or get rid of this part of you that thinks you're not good enough. You're just imagining what it would be like to be free of that, to not have that in the forefront of your awareness all the time. You get to play your way into this new version of yourself too. So you still have to acknowledge the limiting thoughts, beliefs, feelings, experiences. You still need to feel them and work through them. And you can also have fun, right? Visualizing just a different reality where that wasn't something holding you back. Some other benefits to quantum tunneling are transformation with acceptance and compassion rather than resistance and self abandonment. It's super convenient to practice. You can do it at any location or any time. It doesn't interfere with daily functions. You're just going to do it for a few minutes a day, maybe less. It really also focuses on the spiritual core of our human existence, which transcends the world's affairs. It transcends space and time, right? This is spiritual evolution and growth. Practicing it with everyday activities so the new self can get to see and touch all aspects of our lives. Do this while you're washing the dishes, while you're taking a shower, while you're driving to work, whatever it is. You can integrate this slowly into all areas of your life, which helps accelerate the transition into a more free, improved state. So other benefits of quantum tunneling are that it really starts on the firm ground of healed and reintegrated self that's in the future, but directed toward the present moment. So you're visualizing a future self that's already free of this while you're grounded and in your body. We don't want you to dissociate, to check out. You're doing this in an embodied state in the present moment as you connect to a future version of yourself, a parallel version of yourself that's already doing this. And so remember that, like a quantum particle, you already are and already have what you desire. You are already everywhere and everyone in time and space. All you're doing in this practice is invoking your higher self to come and help you. And it will, if you keep calling it, if you keep practicing it. So the underlying principle here is that makes this practice possible. It's the perennial wisdom shared by all spiritual traditions that we're already free and we're already awakened. So some tips for quantum tunneling. Don't take it too seriously at first. This is supposed to be a fun practice, okay? Think of this as playing a role. It's the role of a character, a future version of you, parallel version of you that's already free. Visualize that character and feel its joy, its freedom. Go method here. You're method acting a little bit, even if it's just for 60 seconds, 90 seconds, a couple minutes. Really become that version, that character, okay? And have fun with it. Imagine a self that doesn't even recognize this undesirable pattern, this undesirable thought, feeling, whatever it is, and can't even really fathom what it would feel like to feel like, oh, I'm not good enough. I don't even know what that feels like. This parallel future version of you is like, what is that? Don't even know. Just imagine that for a moment. Start small, even 10 to 20 seconds a day, and build up. And it's good to practice regularly, up to a few minutes a day. That's it. This does not need to be a long, lengthy, even like 10 or 20-minute meditation. Just practice for a minute or two. Don't jump to this method when triggered. This is something that comes up for clients sometimes when they're like, oh, I'm so angry. And then I threw something and I don't want to throw things when I'm angry. So now I need to do quantum tunneling. No, that's probably not the best time to do it. You want to do this in a grounded, embodied, regulated state. Okay. So self-soothe, do something else when you're triggered, come back to this another time. Be patient with yourself. That is paramount. Only one thought, one pattern, one wound at a time that you're quantum tunneling through. And you can see the Timeline Alchemy bonus section in the Quantum Alchemy course for more on this. This is really a precursor to that. So some other tips for quantum tunneling. Quantum tunneling is not a fantasy. You're not fantasizing, okay? You're connecting with a future parallel timeline, essentially, future version of yourself, a higher self, right? Your ideal self, or just a new upgraded version of yourself along the way of your greater evolution. And so every time that you do this practice, every time that you visualize a better version of yourself, you're traveling into the future and laying down the building blocks of your new self. You just got to do it every day. And that new self becomes so real and concrete that it will someday, without you even realizing it, absorb your old self into itself. And that will be your new reality. That's the magic of it. Okay. You become renewed by knowing and feeling with your whole being that you're already free, that you are already what you're meant to be. And this is how we can create ourselves in our highest timelines, both individually and collectively. We quantum tunnel, we time travel essentially into the future and awaken a new, better self that can time travel back and save us. I use that term loosely, but that's crazy, right? What's more crazy is that it's absolutely real. It's spectacular. And I highly encourage you and invite you to try it because there are magical results that can happen here. So that's our lesson on quantum tunneling. I hope you enjoyed this. If you are already taking the Quantum Alchemy course, kudos to you. You are well on your way to becoming a master quantum alchemist. And if you would like to join, check it out. It's a wonderful, beautiful course with so many powerful tools for you to reclaim your sovereignty, to live your best life, and to master so many multidimensional gifts that you're going to be unstoppable. I will link it below so you guys can check it out. And thank you again for joining me. Dr. Heather out.